The following is a 10-minute presentation of a brief history and current opportunities of the Natural Bridge State Park. Before beginning, please meet the park ranger.
Hi, I am Jim Jones, park manager here at Natural Bridge State Park. And when we opened the park on September 24th, 2016, it was the 37th park in the 84-year history of state parks.
Welcome to Rockbridge County, an enchanting and historical part of Virginia, which encompasses about 600 square miles of gently rolling hills, flat bottom land, and ridge after ridge of mountains. And more specifically, welcome to the Natural Bridge of Virginia, for which our county is named. The county was mostly settled through the Benjamin Borden land grant. In 1735, Benjamin Borden acquired a patent from English Governor Gooch in Williamsburg, which was issued by King George II. This patent granted him ownership of 100,000 acres in the Valley of Virginia and stipulated contingencies for its distribution. The early settlers who bought acreage from Borden were Irish, Scots-Irish, and European immigrants moving into the valley. A search for land, religious freedom, and to escape poverty prompted a massive migration to this country and then into this valley. It is not hard to imagine why the early settlers decided upon this area. It is well watered by many streams and rivers, and it has beautiful vistas of mountains and lush grasslands. But one feature that stands above all is the natural bridge. It is here, on this property, that the geological phenomena of this huge rock bridge captures one's imagination so completely that the mind is simultaneously projecting thoughts about how it came to be and is taking in the essence of its magnificence and beauty. Many of the most famous people in the country's history have visited the bridge, and it is referenced in literature, both historical and fiction, in prose and poetry, and in engravings and paintings from all over the world. Those associated with the bridge are George Washington, who surveyed it at one time, Thomas Jefferson, who owned it at one time, and the likes of Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone were known to have visited this architectural wonder. While the bridge has been owned privately since its discovery by Europeans, it is now part of Virginia's state park system. Long before the early settlers came here, American Indians, more specifically the Monacan Nation, a tribe of the Sioux, had a long history of thousands of years of reverence for the bridge and the hallowed grounds around it. The Monacan Indian tribe lived and hunted in this area, and according to legends, their ancestors were trying to escape from the Algonquin tribe when they were brought up short at a very wide gorge. In traversing the crevice, they discovered the bridge, which allowed them to flee to safety. So the bridge and its surroundings became a sacred site, and it is believed they lived here for many generations. Because of a renewed interest in the Monacan people in the past 50 years, the bridge was chosen as a place to revive and reconstruct the essence of what their lives were like many, many years ago. On your walking tour, just beyond the bridge, you will discover a replica of a Monacan village. Thomas Jefferson actually was the first owner of the bridge. It is listed in his handwritten notes of his properties. He writes, 157 acres, including the Natural Bridge in Rockbridge County, granted to Thomas Jefferson by patent bearing date July 5, 1776. In 1809, Jefferson corresponded with a gentleman about selling the property. He said, "When you spoke with me at Washington on the sale of my lands at the Natural Bridge, the proposition was new, and I wished to consider of it. On reflection, I find that, in other hands, it may be useful to the owner and the public. I am therefore willing to sell. It is undoubtedly one of the finest curiosities in nature. I had always believed that if there were accommodations there, the climate and curiosity of the bridge would render a stay there much more eligible. Jefferson didn't sell the bridge then. His heirs sold the property in 1833. But his words were certainly prophetic. Accommodations were eventually built, and although the bridge was owned privately until it became a state park, it was open to the public.
One of the things that we find interesting is that there was a freed black African American here that Thomas Jefferson had to work and care and maintain the park. We call him our first park ranger. His name was Patrick Henry. And Patrick Henry lived very close to where the hotel is now. And he and his wife would meet visitors that would come to the bridge and be able to give them tours and guided hikes down to the bridge, just like we do today.
This brief background history will hopefully engage your minds as you walk down a well-worn path traversed by millions before you to see this geological marvel. As you descend the pathway to the bridge, notice the amazing remains of an ancient arborvitae tree, which was thought to have been the oldest and largest arborvitae in the world. This tree measures 56 inches in diameter and is well over 1,600 years old. As you walk along Cedar Creek, which flows under the bridge, you will notice many of these types of stately trees. The bridge itself comes into view very quickly as you walk along Cedar Creek. The bridge is over 200 feet tall. It contains 450,000 cubic feet of rock, weighing 36,000 tons, and is estimated to be at least 500 million years old. Route 11, a main highway, runs over the bridge, but cannot be seen from either below or above. Visitors from all over the world come to admire and stand in awe of this majestic rock formation that is both a geological marvel and a working highway bridge. While you are absorbing the enormity and beauty of the bridge, be sure to look for George Washington's initials high up on the left side. Continuing on along Cedar Creek, you will come to the Monacan Indian exhibit. In words of Ranger Jones, it rolls the clock back to 1699 when the Native Americans used this bridge and this area for foraging and hunting and living. Victoria, the docent, will tell you all about the exhibit. Next up on your journey is the Saltpeter Cave. You'll see a wooden bridge off to your left that leads to the cave. Saltpeter, or potassium nitrate, was one of the prime ingredients of black powder during the 1800s. This cave was used to harvest the nitrate-rich soil, the last of which was excavated during the Civil War. That was not the only role which the bridge and its surroundings played during wartime. During the War of 1812 and the Civil War, this area was also used to make lead shot. Effectually, the bridge itself was a shot tower. Molten lead was poured from the precipice of the bridge and would fall into the pool of water below. As the lead passed through the air on its descent, it would assume a globular form, and then, as it fell into the cool water, it would immediately harden into perfectly round shot of various sizes. Moving down the trail along Cedar Creek, the next area of interest is the Lost River. You will cross a small bridge under which the river flows. Apparently, around 1812, the workmen from the Saltpeter Caves could hear the roar of water, so they blasted a hole in the hillside to see what was happening. If you listen carefully, you can hear the water flowing inside the cavern opening. At the end of the trail is Lace Falls. These falls have a graduated drop of about 50 feet over layers of rock. The last layer has a wide, flat surface, and as the water flows over it, it looks like lace, hence the name. There's ample seating here for you to sit and enjoy the environs before heading back. There's much to take in. The sounds of the waterfalls, the birds, the wildflowers, and various forest critters may be visible. Along the way down and back, there are usually park rangers standing by to answer your questions. One ranger, Matthew Jackson, who you will probably encounter, has this to say about the recently acquired property. We're glad to be here to not only preserve the park, but also make it a destination for historical and environmental education. And park manager Jim Jones will remind you that
as this is a gateway to the west at one time, it's also a gateway for folks who have never been outdoors and may be able to experience it for the first time.
Thank you for visiting our neck of the woods. Take your time to enjoy the beauty of the natural wonder and its environs. Points of interest, other than the bridge and the walk along Cedar Creek, are a hike or a wagon ride up to Jefferson Point, where there's a magnificent view of the Blue Ridge Mountains to the east and the Alleghenies to the west. The Natural Bridge Caverns are nearby and offer an amazing tour of stalactites and stalagmites in what is one of the deepest caves on the East Coast. Also on the property is an opportunity for horseback riding, as well as hiking and biking on some of the many trails. Other attractions include seasonal events, such as the nighttime luminary carriage rides to the bridge at Christmas time. A visit to the website will tell you about the many and varied programs and events that occur at the park. There's always something special for which visitors can take advantage. Whether educational or recreational, you will not be disappointed.